Welcome to this bite-sized session on the Chief Examiner feedback for Science Year 1. We'll look at key trends from the Summer 25 assessment series, including papers A and B and the employer set project. The aim is to turn examiner insights into practical strategies you can use to strengthen delivery and maximise student achievement. In this session, we'll explore why Chief Examiner reports are so valuable. We'll highlight areas where students perform strongly, identify common pitfalls, and share practical teaching strategies that can make a difference in the classroom. So overall, students showed strengths in recall and short answered questions, but struggled when asked to apply knowledge, evaluate, or work with data. Extended responses in particular lack depth and structure. These are areas we need to target. In the following analysis, you will see RAG rating. RAG shows where performance sits by task. Green means strengths the examiner sees repeatedly. Amber means the work is partial meets and the brief but lacks justification or evidence. Red marks recurring weaknesses. We code the examiner's comment and normalise each bar to 100%, so sections are comparable. Don't read it as marks, use it as a roadmap. Shrink ambers with quick wins, link one statistic and a reference, reduce reds by teaching the evaluation and reflection scaffold. We run the RAG after changes to check you're moving colour from amber red into green. So let's begin with core paper A. So paper A shows a clear pattern. A1 recall is secure, but AO2 and AO3 are underdeveloped. In section A, short items were strong, but job levels caused confusion, and ERQ6 was weak. In section B, this was better. Question 7A on data breach was answered well, and ERQ11 was the best extended response. But stages of data handling and copyright versus trademark tripped many. Section C, students named regulations but couldn't always apply them, and ERQ 17 was very brief. In section D, some new calibration in training, but many confused positives or negatives controls, and the extended response questions 22 to 23 were often blank or superficial. Overall, paper A confirms the trend: strong recall, weak application and evaluation. To support paper A performance, retrieval practice ensures students hold the core knowledge, but we also need to move them into application by modelling how to link knowledge to scenarios, and extended responses can be improved through structured writing frameworks and timed practices. Now moving on to core paper B. So paper B reinforces the same pattern. In section A, recall in biology was strong, with question 6B lipids well answered, but rearranging equations and triglyceride formation were weak, and ERQ9 leaned heavily on recall. Section B, acid bases and rate calculations were generally good, but indicators caused problems, and AQR16 on TLC was one of the weakest answers across the paper. Section C, knowledge of waves was solid, but viscosity definitions, scientific notation and evaluation in question 19 and 21 were weak. For section D, half-life and mitosis were strengths, but HPLC interpretation, Boyle's law and ERQ 26 on sanitation were all superficial. Again, the pattern is constant: student recall but do not evaluate. AO2 and AO3 development and extended responses are the critical teaching priorities. For paper B, the focus should be on strengthening maths and context, regularly practicing calculation and graph skills as part of the science lessons. Running AO3 workshops can help students learn to weigh up evidence and reach justified conclusions. Now let's explore the employer set project performance. So looking across the 6 tasks on the Science ESP, we see an amber heavy profile with strengths in structure and presentation, but recurring weaknesses in justification and evaluation. So for Task 1 research strategy, most students reached Band 2 or 3, describing sources and attempting references, but they often focused on only one or two parameters, like reliability or relevance, and rarely justified why some sources should be rejected. Quoting was limited to a narrow set of articles. Proofreading issues and informal language also reduced marks. For Task 2, Plan a Project, stronger script showed sequential plans, applied hazards and a clear risk hierarchy, but many missed essential steps and a surprising number defaulted to antibiotics instead of extremophiles. Risk assessments were often generic with limited mitigation. Data planning was especially weak and few considered replicates or statistical validity. For Task 3, Analyze Data, most could calculate means and plot graphs. Higher achievers applied a range of statistical techniques and produced balanced conclusions, noting anomalies and limitations. Lower achievers simply described trends or skipped conclusions altogether. For Task 4 Presentation, posters were generally strong, often digital, with better video quality than previous series. Higher achievers used the poster as a prompt and expanded with clear explanation. Weaker students simply read from the poster or pasted in tables, reducing accessibility. For Task 5 Group Discussion, engagement was generally good with better audio and visibility this time. Smaller groups worked best. High achievers addressed all practitioner concerns and suggested valid solutions. Weaker ones stopped at the initial concern. For Task 6, the reflective evaluation, this remains mixed. Most described what they did, but only stronger students critically analysed performance and suggested justified changes. Many reflections lacked depth and only gave generic improvements. AO4, Math, Digital and English, was the weakest discriminator. In summary, the Science ESP shows learners can structure tasks and present competently, but they still lack depth of justification, critical evaluation, and detailed risk or data planning. These are the levers to move large ambers into green. To address these gaps, referencing needs to be explicitly taught and modelled. Risk assessments benefit from scaffolded checklists. Students should practice accurate data recording using exemplar tables, and graphing should become a weekly habit. Finally, evaluation skills can be strengthened by applying models like Gibbs' reflective cycle, helping students go beyond description to deeper critique. So as we come to the end of today's session, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on some common themes we've seen and then share some practical ways you can take this forward. The key takeaway is balance. We need to keep building strong recall while explicitly developing AO2 and AO3 skills. Embedding maths and data handling into delivery is vital. And for ESP, we must treat professional skills like referencing and risk assessment as core teaching priorities. Support doesn't stop after today's session. There are a range of materials available to help you and your learners. On the NCFE qualification page, you'll find the Chief Exam Report, student exemplar work and downloadable schemes of work and teaching materials. There are also recorded CPT sessions on our YouTube playlist, which you can visit at any time. On there are also ESP bite-sized videos. There is also an upcoming live events listed on our NCFE T-level training events page. All of these are designed to make your delivery smoother and your learners more confident. Before we finish, we'd really appreciate your feedback on today's session. You can scan the QR code on the screen or follow the link in this description to complete a very short survey. Your input helps us to refine our training and make sure future sessions are relevant and useful as possible. Thank you for joining this bite-sized session. By acting on examiner insights, we can adapt teaching to better prepare students for assessment success.